All right, real talk. What if the harshest thing someone has said to you was actually the most useful feedback you'd ever received? As backwards as that sound, it's really true. A few years ago, I heard the same thing, and I was like, "Yeah, and I kind of like rolled my eyes to it." But the more I've gained a deeper perspective on it, it's actually accurate. See, people who criticize you, i.e., your haters or those who doubt you or dismiss you, they're actually holding up a mirror. Uh, with that reflection, really gives you time to assess who you are. Because I think haters are more useful than your friends in this regards. And the reason why I say that is because most times our friends or so-called friends, they would try to cater to our feelings and not really give us the criticism or the critique constructively that really would take to push us to the next level. But those who can't stand you, i.e., haters, they're actually more honest. Yo, F him, because who he think he is. He doesn't do XYZ right. So any critique that they have, I think we should use that for a positive and really take time to unravel what they're saying and use it for our benefit. All right. And in this video, that's what we're going to talk about. Haters are your best friend. All right. And during this video, we'll give you a framework to actually uh, to show you how to use it and turn it to your benefit to become the best version of yourself. So welcome to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Tristan, aka Alchemy Fitness, where we transfer you from lead to gold. And I'm glad you found this channel. So hopefully it can do what it's supposed to do, to give you food for thought and inspire you to become the best version of yourself. All right. Like I said, this is just not about physical fitness, it's about mentally and spiritually as well. All right. So let's get into it. And of course, I got my notes in front of me. So if I look down, that's what I'm looking at. When it comes to criticism, most people handle it the wrong way. Um, it's usually one or two things. Either they're completely absorbed by the criticism, they take it personally, which we should never do. Don't take anything personally. That's your Michael Jordan. I did a Sonic Chronicles some time ago about that, taking things personally, you know. But when you do that, sometimes it'll shake your confidence. You start second guessing everything, or you completely start to dismiss it. You just quickly they're a hater, they don't know what they're talking about, and you throw the whole thing in the trash. But both of those responses, you're leaving growth on the table. And here's why. Because not all criticism is created equally. Uh, it's a skill that very people develop, the skill that generally high performers, great leaders, and fulfilled people have mastered is the ability to filter criticism. That is very key. To look at any piece of negative feedback and say, what if anything, this is actually useful? It's like in the Holy Quran where it says Allah doesn't waste the work of any worker. It's the same thing. If you take that same type of concept, don't waste the work of your hater. You know what I mean? So, and I would draw back to this to Michael Jordan since I made a reference to him earlier, where in one of his books, I think it was Rare Air, where he said, "You think you're pushing me to a weakness, right? Like in a game, Scott on the Report, whatever weakness or perceived weakness he may have, and then during the game, he would add it to his game while they're playing, because now you whatever you made him feel uncomfortable doing, he's comfortable now doing it. So he added another tool to the toolbox. So they actually helped him improve his game in the game. Yeah, that's crazy, right? But you could do the same thing too. So back to the topic. When you develop that skill, your haters stop being a threat and start becoming one of the most valuable resources in your life. And that's what I liked about the character Negan in The Walking Dead, because he always, although he was a little bit crazy, but he always said people are resources, and we have to start looking at people like that as well. So, you know, this is how we grow, right? Take what we need, our resources around us, and take us to the next level, right? So always remember there's destructive hate and constructive gold, right? So not everything that comes at you is worth mining. So the very first thing you need to start doing is put criticism in two buckets, right? So bucket one is destructive, right? But destroy, rebuild, right? But with the destructive one, that's the noise. This is where it's vague, it's personal, has no specific information in it. So people say like you're not good enough. Well, who do you think you are? That'll never work. These comments has nothing to do with your growth, right? So that they're coming from an emotional state in a person and in the person that is delivering them. You don't even have to acknowledge them. or what they're saying, just release it, move on, and keep it pushing because it's not beneficial to you. But now this is the one that you want, the constructive criticism, or what we'll call constructive gold, where this is what you have to take in consideration. This is what you mind, because this is where you're going to grow from, right? So even if it's delivered badly, get past that and assess what the person is saying, right? Because even if they don't like you, they're still saying something that can be beneficial to you, right? So in this critique, it's more of a specific, accountable action, that accountability action that's informative that will help you. So like your presentation style is hard to follow, for example. So if you watch my videos, you probably see the growth in it, but there's probably some critique in it as well. Even by some of my close friends who like truly honest like friends, they'll say you probably want to add this to your videos or XYZ, you know. And even there's like I said, haters too that say something. And I'm like, oh, that's not a bad idea. Let me take that in. So thank you for all my haters out there. I love you all. Right. So yeah, so those things like that definitely will help. Right. So the beautiful, slight, uncomfortable truth about constructive goal is that it often comes from people who are not in your corner, right? Because the people who love us tend to protect our feelings, like I mentioned earlier, and the people who don't, they'll say anything out loud that nobody else will, and that's a gift. Just unwrap it. So turn negative into positive, as it says that all all things work for good to those who love the Lord, right? So always find the good in something, right? All right. So now we're going to go into the three types of haters. What they're really telling you. Okay. So you got one, the projector. This is someone who tried something similar to what you're doing and it didn't work out for them. You all have one of those, right? So every time they see you moving towards it, their own unresolved disappointment bubbles up, and it comes out as doubt directed at you. That's why I said never take things personal, right? So their criticism is really telling you you're moving in a direction that I wouldn't seem possible to them. That means you're on a real path, not a fantasy. Their past doesn't have to be your future, right? It's like with Jay-Z with his uncle. And he said, you'll never sell a million records. And he said, I turned around and sold a million records. But it was his uncle's own fear that he was projecting onto his nephew, which was Jay-Z, right? And you're going to have people like that in life. And real talk, man, we all have a story in this thing called life. We all have our own story. We're all not going to be the hero. We're all not going to be, you know, quote unquote, the good guy. In someone's story, you're going to be the villain. Just embrace it. You're going to be a hater. Well, not all the time, but you're going to deal with haters, right? In your own story. You're going to have villains. That's what makes you who you are and unique. And at the end of the day, you can either triumph it or succumb to it, you know? So it's up to you. And once you embrace these things, life is a little bit easier how to navigate. All right. So the growth prompt to this right here is when you hear this type of criticism, just ask yourself, what specifically did they attempt that didn't work? And what am I doing differently? Their failure map might be the exact roadmap you need to avoid the same pitfalls. So they're like low key a little mentor to you. Not a little mentor, but you know. The type two archetype of a hater is the comfort keeper, right? This is the hardest one because it usually comes from people who generally care about you, like a parent, a close friend, a partner. They're not trying to crush your dreams. They're just scared of watching you get hurt. So they project their fear onto you, like I just mentioned with Jay-Z and his uncle, right? So their criticism is really telling you that, it's a big risk that you're doing and they don't want you to see disappointment. But that's part of life, though. You know what I mean? So just keep pushing forward. It doesn't mean that it's not worth it, but it just means that then they need to get better at communicating your vision, building your safety net, or getting clearer on your own risk tolerance. All right. So don't dismiss their concerns. Just ask them or ask yourself what they're specifically worried about. So it may help you. Their answers may reveal a blind spot that you need to address. We all have it. So that's, like I said, that's why haters are good, because they help you with your blind spots. All right. And the last one is the competitor. You all have that, right? So It's like my personal favorite. Cause they be low key acting like they ain't competing against you, but they really are. But you can see it, you know. This person is who sees that you're building and feels threatened by it. Their criticism is sharp, specific, and often disguised as concern. I just don't think you're ready. You should probably wait a bit longer. Nah, right now is the time. Right. So what their criticism is really telling you, they see your potential clearly, possibly even more clearly than you do right now. Their discomfort is a direct reflection of the competitive edge. Right. So how you deal with this when the competitor recognizes you, you just flip the script. You know what I'm saying? So you just ask them, yo, what are they seeing in me that I haven't fully claimed yet? Use their discomfort as a roadmap to your own power. You know what I'm saying? Haters only hate people that's above them. You never hear people who on top hating on somebody below them, right? Keep it like that. All right. So this is a 4-step framework that will help you um navigate with your haters or get through the criticism, right? So it's called fuel, like that, right? FUEL. So the F stands for filter. This goes back to the two buckets where we talked about the constructive criticism and the constructive and the destructive criticism, right? So is this destructive or hate? Or constructive gold, right? So if it's destructive, it's vague, it's personal, with no specific information, then you just release it, right? If it has specificity to it, then you make the move to step 2, right? Which is, do you understand the source? So who is this coming from? Is it a projector, a comforter, a comfort keeper, or a competitor? When you understand the source, tells you why they're saying it, and that context changes everything about how you interpret the message. It shifts you from reactive to analytical. All right, so start thinking. And the E means extract the lesson. This is very important. This is the core of the whole framework. So you have to ask yourself, if I strip away the emotion, the delivery, and the intention behind this, what's actually what's the actual information here? You could write it down, even if it's one sentence, because when you pull the lesson out of criticism, you rob it of its power to hurt you and give it the power to help you instead. Right? Here to hurt, not to help. And last is L. What we all want to do is level up. So you can act on it. Take the extracted lesson and turn it into one of concrete action. One thing you're going to do differently. One area you're going to strengthen it. The blind spot that you're going to address. That's it. Just one step, brick by brick, right? Because growth isn't a giant leap. You know, it's a deliberate step, one step at a time. And that's what you want to do. Start changing little habits to get you to the next step, which is to level up. So it's filter, understand, extract, and level up. And that's how you turn a hater into a coach. So when you see that you got haters, just smile. Like, all right, I'm on my way up. I'm doing something right. You know what I mean? So now, I want to close with something that goes a little deeper than the framework, right? The people who are truly untouchable, not because nothing affects them, but because nothing stops them. And that's a belief that they all share. If you look at all the greats in life, whoever you admire, they all had haters. But what kept them going is that they wanted to be the best versions of themselves. Nothing, they had a vision of how they saw themselves and how they want to impact the world, and they never stopped. And I make a plea to you, you do the same. Like I said, someone needs to hear your story. You never know who you're inspiring as well. You know what I'm saying? All right. So everything, like I said, is data that you're collecting when it comes to your haters or the information that they're giving you. So never take it personal. Just smile, tip your head, and really get out of your own way. Basically, just get out your own way. Stop taking things personal. Because half the times people really are mad at themselves, and they just don't know how to express it. And sometimes we're just the brunt. We're just getting the brunt of their reaction. You know what I mean? And you just got to be like, all right, cool, and keep it pushing. You know what I mean? So I hate the words are not ruling on who you are. They're just a data point, a perspective, just a signal in a sea of many. And as you keep growing, the cycle never continue until you reach the top. And even at the top, you still will have that. So you have to learn how to navigate and deal with these type of things. It's part of life. All right. So use the data wisely So don't internalize it because it's not you. That's just something that we start losing confidence in who we are. We start losing ourselves. So at the end of the day, you want to be firmly rooted in who you are. That's the point, not to be shaken. So you want to build your foundation on bricks or cement, not sand. So don't internalize it and start living from that place. When you start genuinely living from that place, something extraordinary begins to happen. You stop fearing criticism. You start welcoming it. And because every piece of feedback, no matter how it's delivered, becomes a potential upgrade. So become someone who grows from everything and a person who grows from everything. And that's how you become unstoppable. And that's what we all said. That's what at the end of the day, what we all trying to become. Right? So I'll close with, here's a challenge, and I want you to actually do this one for real. Right? Think of one criticism that you received recently, something that stung, that really bothered you, and use the fuel framework and try it and see and see how it helped you in your mind shifts, and what was the result of it. I'd love to hear from it. So you could, put it in the comments and everything like that. You know what I mean? So if this video helped you or you find it inspiring, feel free to leave a comment. I'd love to hear from you guys. Love your feedback. Or if there's any other topics you want me to talk about, fitness or just life stuff in general, that's what I'm here for. Um, Online training programs and macronutrient coaching available. Just click the link in the description, and I'll reach out to see if we can work together and if we're a good fit. So if you like this video, share with someone that you think that might benefit from it as well. Until next time, this is Alchemy Fitness, where we transfer from lead to gold. Train hard, train smart, and train safe. Peace.